It is 2 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started right on time. Thanks everybody for joining me. Hopefully everyone is excited about our upcoming cruise. For those that don't know, my name is John Brenneman. I am the president here at MOA Vacations, and I will be joining all of you on the Danube Holiday Markets Cruise. My sole purpose in joining the group is to make sure that everybody has as much fun as possible. And if any issues or concerns arrive, I will be there to assist. I will be on the ship when you arrive, so I will greet everyone when you board. I will have everyone's name tags. So if you haven't done so already, we will have your name as it is on your cruise ticket, unless you've notified us that you want something different. For example, John instead of Jonathan, or my middle name's Edward. So if instead of going by John Brenneman, I wanted to go to by Edward or Eddie, we're more than happy to put on whatever name you'd like on that name tag, just so we will be able to identify the members of our group and address everyone accordingly. We are also putting together a manifest, which will have the list of the people that are on our group. We will share that with everyone. Even with a group of 50 people, it is difficult to keep track of everyone. I know that I use it from time to time because you'll be talking to somebody at dinner and you think to yourself, who was that person I was talking to last night that was from Reno? And then you can look that up because it will be name, address, and email address is what we have on that manifest. So without any further ado, let's get started. Everyone should now have received their documents. When you received your documents, there were 4 attachments with that documents, and I am going to go over the documents real quick to make sure that everybody sees or saw the information in those that are important. But when you got your documents, and each individual person will get their own set of documents, you'll have a welcome letter, a cruise ticket, what they call a cruise companion, and then the schedule at the glance. So the welcome letter, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. The cruise ticket, just so you know, those cruise tickets are more so for your own edification. Think of, for those who haven't been on a river cruise ship before, it is truly a floating hotel. So when we board the ship in Passau, just imagine it's going to be exactly like it would be if you were checking into a hotel. So if you are arriving on the 9th, your document should have transfers listed, and I'll get to that in just a second. They'll pick you up at the airport. They'll bring you from Munich to Passau to board the ship. When you get there, you just walk right on board. So there really isn't a boarding process. If you've done ocean cruises before, you're probably used to the fact that, they kind of, they have you kind of sit in a terminal and those kind of things, but really you just walk on board. And actually for the entirety of the cruise, you're free to walk on and off whenever you would like, obviously not when the ship is sailing. So you walk on board. Most everyone is going to arrive probably before the staterooms are available. So that morning, another group is going to be getting off the ship. So they will get off the ship. You'll walk in, you just go up to the counter, you tell them your name, and they'll check you in. They are not going to ask for that cruise ticket. I will have a copy of everybody's cruise tickets in case you're concerned about that. If you want to print off and bring a copy, you absolutely can. It does have your transfer information, which you may want to have with you, but it's like a hotel. If your room's not available, as soon as you board the ship, all of the amenities that you'll have during the cruise are available to you. So if you arrive before lunch, you're invited to have lunch. If you arrive even earlier than that, you can go up to the lounge and you can have a cocktail. I think everyone hopefully knows that it is kind of an open bar on the ship. So you're invited to go up to the lounge. The cabins are typically going to be available. They say 3 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little bit sooner than that. They actually will come up to the lounge in most cases. and go up to people and just go up to you wherever you're sitting and say, your cabin's available if you'd like to go to it. You are welcome to get off the ship if you'd like to look around past house. So you come on board, you check in, they take your bags. And then the next time you'll see those bags, well, you may see them in the lobby, but the next time when you actually go to your cabin, your bags will already be in your stateroom. So a very easy boarding process. Just while we're talking about boarding, I'll talk about disembarkation as well. For those who don't know, in the morning of disembarkation, they are going to ask you to vacate your stateroom after breakfast. They do have you put your luggage out that night before. And they color tag those luggage based on which transfer you're going to be on to the airport in Budapest, or if you're doing a post Budapest, they'll have a tag color for that as well. But anyway, so your color may be green. Let's say it's an afternoon departure. They'll ask you to vacate your stateroom after breakfast, but you can stay on board as long as you'd like. While you're on board, you're welcome to continue to have a coffee or an alcoholic beverage or a drink, whatever. Wait in the lounge. You're welcome to get off the ship and look around Budapest as long as you come back in time to get your transfer. If you're actually traveling late enough that you're there for lunch, you're welcome to stay there through lunch as well. Okay, your cruise ticket, we kind of went through that whole thing. The cruise companion, I actually have a slide on that. I'm going to go in that in more detail, and we're going to look at the schedule as well. So we'll go forward. So on your cruise ticket, on the first page, if you have transfers, this is what it looks like. It will list both the arrival transfer and the departure transfer. It kind of shows what your flight information is, and then it has how you would actually meet up with your transfer when you get there, which luggage haul and those types of things. They're all different, so I'm not going to go through this. But if you have any questions, you feel free to ask. You can email or give us a call. Since transfers are specific to each individual person, because everybody's going to have, well, not everybody's going to have, but there's a number of group transfers. So everybody won't have the same transfers. So questions on transfers, please either give us a call or drop us an email, because everyone's different and it's difficult to answer a question without being concerned that I'm going to confuse people if I talk about your transfers and yours are different than somebody's else. I think that that makes sense to everyone. So any questions with transfers, give me a call, drop me an email. I would remind everybody to make sure that you have my cell number. The emails we sent out had it in it. Put it in your phone. For example, I hosted the Paris and Normandy cruises in June. On that June 9th sailing, President Biden was in Paris. The only reason I bring that up is because they shut down a large portion of the city, which resulted in the transfers having to take a very much longer route to and from the ship. And so people actually arrived for their transfer, and the driver was not able to get back in a timely manner. They show the numbers that you can call. I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to be much easier is if you just text or call me on my cell number. I'll be on the ship. I've already met and talked to the tour director, and we will work with you if you have any transfers issues. Likewise, if your flight is delayed, let me know. Once again, when I did Paris and Normandy, we actually had people that came in a day late, and then we can work with you to see what we can do to catch you up with the ship. So I'm not going to keep mentioning it. I know I've mentioned it before, but just make sure you save my cell number in your phone. Obviously, the biggest issue is going to be flight delays, luggage delays, or you can't find your transfer, because, of course, once you're on the ship, you'll see me morning, noon, and night on the ship if you need anything. Okay, the Cruise Companion has a lot of information on it. It's long. I don't expect everybody's going to read everything through, so I was just going to hit some of the high points. What to wear during the day, whatever you think will be comfortable wear. It's obviously going to be cool to cold. In fact, in some days it's going to be cold. Recommend layers, comfortable walking shoes. There's going to be walking involved, jackets, those types of things. I think most people, it makes sense to dress for the weather. for Europe at that time of year. On board the ship, they don't have a hard and fast dress code. They do ask no shorts at dinner. I don't think that's going to be an issue on this cruise. But for example, for men, jackets and ties aren't required. You may want to wear one in case it's cool at dinner, or a sweater, whatever. With women, obviously, pantsuits are fine, whatever you'd like to wear, a sweater, whatever. The key is to be comfortable. Okay, you're on vacation. Really wear whatever you want. If you read through what they say about what to wear on the captain's welcome dinner, they talk about that that will be the dressiest night, I guess I would say, on board the ship. But once again, by dressy, wear your nicest slacks. Maybe that's the night you wear your sports coat or whatever. But no one will say anything if you show up. The ones I've been on in the past, people ask, can I wear jeans? You can wear jeans. You don't have to wear a collared shirt. I will say, a lot of people probably will be wearing collared shirts. Not a lot of people will be wearing shorts, or excuse me, wearing jeans, but that's their vacation. You do you. If you want to bring as little clothing as possible, I mean, this is, a lot of what we're going to do is shopping. So if you don't want to, pack your luggage to the brim, they do have coin operated laundry on the ship, and they actually have laundry soap that you can get. They don't even charge for it. You just go to the reception desk and you ask them for laundry soap. They'll give you a box. You go down, you do your laundry. It's not coin operated laundry, if I remember correctly. But, there's 150-ish people on the ship. So they're, keep that in mind. The 3 or 4 machines they have may not always be available. They also have a laundry service that would be like the dry cleaning, the pressing, and that kind of stuff. There is a fee for that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Internet is included when you get on board. If I remember correctly, it's going to be your room number and your last name, but it's one of those that's fairly simple to log in. All the excursions are included. We get a lot of questions about the excursions. Since everyone is getting on the 9th, the excursions on the 10th are pretty much open to everyone. You don't have to sign up for them. That evening of the 10th, the tour director will kind of do an overview of the excursions and hand out a sheet where you can use that to sign up for your excursions. I'm going to go ahead and grab some of those and give them to everybody when I give you your name tags and when I give you the passenger manifest. If you want to sign up early so you can get your sign up sheet in before the rest of the group does. But I always tell people the excursions are designed that everybody can go on whatever excursion they want. So don't feel as though you need to get it in right away. But as I said, I'll get that excursion sign up for you. You can bring them back to me and I'll give them to the tour director if you want to turn them in before she actually, quote unquote, is officially accepting them. If there is any issue on an excursion, let me know. As I mentioned, I'm there to make sure you have as much fun as possible. So if there's an excursion you want to go on, I am there to make sure you get on it. When we get to the cruise at a glance, you'll see they have some what they call masterpiece collection excursions. There is a fee for those. The fee is listed. It will be listed on that sheet. And those have limitations on them. There is both a minimum and a maximum. Those typically do not sell out. But for example, when we get to it, I'll kind of touch on it again. But if there's an excursion and only 2 people sign up for it, they'll cancel it. So most of them are going to be in that like 15 to 30 to 60 range. But once again, if there's something you're interested in, let me know. Gratuities are included. Adapters, people always ask about this. Depending on how much stuff you have that you want to plug in, every stateroom will have one, I'm just going to call it US plug, 110 plug. You can bring one of those things that makes that one plug able to plug in multiple devices. If you were concerned about only having possibly one 110 plug, you can bring an adapter. It is the universal European adapter that you want. I've not been on this ship before, but having been on other Uniworld ships, you'll probably have one or two US plugins. Every cabin has at least one, so it might vary depending, if you're in a Riverview or if you're in a suite, how many US plugs you have. And then they'll have two or three, possibly even four, of the international plugins. So you know how many things you want to plug in. So if you want to bring an adapter, you can. Most people only have a cell phone. You can get one of those plugs you can plug two things into. So that typically is sufficient. And motor coaches. I don't remember why I put that on there. I think that was for another one. But anyway, I do remember now why I said it. Sorry. If you have not mobility issues, but I wanted to let everybody know, and she'll talk about this, or he will, whoever the tour director is on board, but they always have one bus that is designated for people who move at a little bit slower of a pace. So I just want to give everybody a heads up that that is an option. She will talk about it. Typically they do bus 6 for just the, because a lot of it, what we're going to do is walking tours, going to markets and those types of things. So if you have concerns about, trying to rush to keep up with the group, there's always going to be that bus 6, and the bus 6 is kind of the slower moving bus. So that's an option. I want to let everybody know that that was available. When we talk about attire, this is actually pictures from the 70 parties from the Normandy and the Paris and Normandy cruise. You are not required to dress up, but we typically in the MOA group get a number of people who do. So I just threw a couple of pictures in to kind of show you what it is. I will be dressed up for it. There's not a picture of me dressed up, but I will dress up for it as well. If you'd like to join kind of the fun, for lack of a better word, absolutely bring something to wear that evening. It's a lot of fun. The entertainment on the board the ships is actually a lot of fun. People really like it. There's dancing, they have performers and everything. We are just going to have a great time. One thing we do for the signature groups that those who've been on before may know, those who haven't, we always like to say, let everybody know. And I'll talk about this as well at our welcome reception. I'll remind everybody. But we do a photo share Flickr site, if you're familiar with it, but this is actually on the MOA website. And so they have a page where you can take all of the pictures that you take and upload it. And then everyone else in the group can see your photos. And if someone else gets a picture that you're in, you can see the pictures they take, and you have the ability to download the photos that your fellow guests talk. And I always invite people to take advantage of that, not only to upload your pictures, but during the week of the cruise, take pictures of your fellow MOA members. If you do that courtesy and take pictures of them and they do the same courtesy, then it's always great fun when you go to this site and you see all the pictures that are uploaded, when you find, pictures of yourself that you didn't even know were there. Okay. The schedule at a glance. This is in everyone's documents. It's actually a separate document that goes through this. So you can look here and actually see what the excursions are. The featured excursions are the ones that are at no charge. You can go to as many of them as you want to go. Obviously, you can't do, if there's an option, you can't do both at the same time. But if there's a morning excursion and an evening excursion, you can do both the morning and the evening excursion. So all those featured excursions are the ones when you get on board. We'll just look at Budapest. So you look at Budapest, you have a choice of the city tour with Christmas market or the walking tour with local treats and Christmas market. When you get on board, the tour guide will kind of explain this in a little bit more detail what it is, but you pick which one of those you want to go on. The masterpiece collections are the ones that have a fee to them. By the way, that sheet I give you when you embark will actually have a fuller description of all of these, and it will have what the pricing is on the Masterpiece Collection tours. So you can see what the price is and whether or not you want to go. If you want to go, it is literally just a piece of paper where you check a box that, on the day, what you want to do. You check the boxes for everything you want to go on. And then you hand that form in. So the sign up for the excursions is very simple. And so any questions on that? When we get done, we'll do a Q&A. I am going to send everybody this webinar. So if you want to revisit any of this, you can. It would appear that we have 26 people on the webinar. So we obviously have a few people who are not on the webinar. So we'll actually, I'll try to get it to everybody today. What I have to do is I have to download it from Zoom. We'll edit it because just to clip off that beginning when we started before the presentation began, and then I have to upload it to YouTube, and then I'll send everybody an email so you can revisit this again. Okay, I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna go back. I think is what I should do. Nope, it doesn't want me to go back. All right, sorry about that, technical difficulties. All right. Sorry, folks. Okay. So when we look at this schedule, we have the MOA welcome reception, which we are going to do on day one, that evening when we get on board. So day one, you see kind of, you can look across, it's Passau. There are no excursions, we're having dinner that evening. And then there's nothing scheduled that evening. That's when we'll do our welcome reception. Now, on this group, we do not have the entire ship. So what we do is we need to work around the fact that we want our events to be private, or at least private-ish. And so we will do our welcome reception on that first evening. And the way we're going to do it, and this has all been set up with Uniworld, is they are going to reserve a section of the dining room for our group. And so that evening, they're going to do a muster drill. It will be in the lounge. So the captain will be there. He'll have some comments. He'll kind of go through the safety procedures. And then we are going to hear from the cruise director, and we'll probably hear from the tour director as well. And then when they get done with their presentations, everyone's going to be invited downstairs to go to dinner. And they have said that they are going to reserve a section of the dining room for us. And then when they all go down to dinner, we will remain in the lounge and we will have our welcome reception. It will not be a long event. I just want to, have an opportunity to talk to our group exclusively and talk about some of the things that we have going on. A lot of which is just going to be reiterating what I've already gone through. But we will basically stay in the lounge. Everybody else goes to dinner. We'll have our welcome reception, do a toast, answer any questions everybody might have, and then we'll go down to dinner. So Uniworld has said that they are going to reserve tables for us, but what we want to do is we want to make sure. So I actually have printed up signs. So when you go to the dining room that first night for dinner, that sections is reserved for us will all have reserved for MOA signs on them. In addition, I'm going to save a section of the lounge for our group as well. I think it will make it easier. First, we can all sit together and you can meet each other. Obviously, you'll know who's in our group because they'll all be wearing the MOA name tags. But when you go to the lounge, that first evening, so when you kind of go there to go for the muster drill and the kind of the initial talk by the cruise director and the tour director, if you look for the tables that have the MOA reserve signs on them, I'm going to save enough tables so our entire group can sit together in the lounge. Everybody goes to dinner. We stay there. I do my brief kind of talk, kind of recap how the week's going to go. And then we go down to dinner. And then when we go to dinner, there'll be a group of tables together that also have these reserve signs on them. So I just wanted to kind of make sure everybody kind of knew what that looked like. That is actually a picture of the signs that we have. So be on the outlook for those. Weather, everybody else asked about weather. We're what, a little within 3 weeks away. But weather changes. If you kind of look through the cruise companion, it tells you to go to weather.com to look this up to kind of give you an idea. If you look the 9th through the 16th right now, we're looking 40s to mid 40s during the day. That's when we're going to be off the ship. Dress accordingly. There are a couple of evening events. As you can see, the evenings are going to be cold. So make sure you dress accordingly. Most people are coming from cold weather locations, so you probably already have your coat on the plane, but plan accordingly. The last thing I was going to talk about is the onboard credit. Hopefully you all know, as being part of the MOA group, you have $150 per person onboard credit. That is capped at $300 per stateroom. We have one stateroom that's triple occupancy. So the way Uniworld does that, if you're in a single room, you get 150. A double room gets 150 per person, or $300. If you're in a triple room, I think they just do 150 on guest 1 and 2, but it is capped at 300 for the stateroom. And so the question always comes, what can I use that onboard credit on? Because most everything is included. The first thing we talk about is they have ultra premium liquor. The one I always use is they have like Johnny Walker Black and Johnny Walker Red, which is included. If you want Johnny Walker Blue, there is a fee for it. If you want that, they actually have a little like menu where they show all what the ultra premiums are. I don't know. I did 2 Paris and Normandy cruises, and to my knowledge, no one ordered any of the ultra premium. Bottled wine, they also have bottles of wine that you can order. These are typically higher premium kind of bottles of wine. Most everybody is very complimentary about the wine is on board. If at dinner one night they have a red and a white, and you're drinking, I'm just going to say you're drinking red and you don't like the red, if you tell your waiter, a lot of times they'll have other reds that they can bring you. The more common thing of somebody, if they don't like the red, isn't buying a bottle. It's like, if this is Wednesday night, you tell the waiter, I really like the red we had last night, or the red we had Monday night, or whatever that might be. And in the vast majority of cases, they can go get you that alternative wine. So not a lot of people spend their onboard credit on the liquor. And one thing I should mention is everything on the ship is going to be in euros. So when you get on board the ship, they are going to convert that $150 onboard credit to whatever the current exchange is in euros. So once again, talking about the Paris and Normandy cruises, instead of $150 onboard credit, everyone had a €138 credit. And so when you get on board and you see the prices, everything's in euros. And so it makes sense to convert the onboard credit to euros at the same time. They do have spa treatments on board. In fact, when we were on Paris and Normandy, the guy that does the massages was giving complimentary like 5-7 minute massages in the lounge to kind of let people know what those were like. We talked about the Masterpiece Collection excursions. You can use your onboard credit towards that. So when you receive that menu that shows it, if it shows the price of a Masterpiece excursion is 89, that's 89 euros. You have probably something in the range of 130 to 135 euros to person. And then there's the gift shop. And you'll probably hear me say this on the ship as well, but do not get off the ship and leave your onboard credit unspent. I typically, when I've gone on vacation on Uniworld and I've gone with my daughter, we don't do the Masterpiece Collection excursions. I don't know if we've ever done one. We don't do spa treatments. Neither one of us really drink. And so typically when I take her on a cruise, I tell her, well, the signature groups are 300, the non-signature groups are 200, and I'll just go to her and say, you have $200, find something in the gift shop. It is nice that when you look at the gift shop, most everything is going to be under 100 euros when you look at it. If you've been on ocean cruises sometimes, if you're like me, you get sticker shock when you are doing shopping on board, because you go in the gift shop and you look at stuff and they have things that are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So no, when and you'll see them. I mean, they have displays up, typically on deck 3 where the lounge is. When you walk by, you see stuff. So if you see anything, you just go down to reception. You ask them, you either tell them you want to buy it, or if you need a price, you just ask them, and somebody from reception will come up, unlock the case, and can show you whatever's there. I was going to bring up the laundry service. It's not listed here. That kind of pressing or laundry service rather than the self-service laundry. It's like, once again, this is a floating hotel. We've all been in hotels where they have the bag that's hanging in the closet, and it has a little sheet, and it tells you what the price is to do a shirt or a pair of pants or underwear or socks or whatever it is. And since that's going to be an onboard charge, and once again, that will be in euros on that sheet. So if, for example, you don't want to bring a lot of dress clothes because it takes up a lot of room, you can kind of wear, let's say I'm going to wear this dress on the first day, pantsuits on the second day, and then I'm going to send those to get cleaned on board the ship, and then have something to wear like day 3, and then you'll have those outfits back for you. So that's kind of a quick kind of run through on everything. As I said, that cruise companion has a lot more information on it. I tried just to hit the high points. As mentioned, I'm now going to do a Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I can't see the Q&A while I'm sharing it, but hopefully everybody has our numbers and obviously knows the web address. So I'm just going to stop sharing. And the Q&A, if you haven't seen it yet, if you take your cursor or your finger, if you're on a phone or whatever, and go kind of the bottom, you should see a little box that has a question and it says Q&A, and that's where you type in your questions. So let's answer some questions. Before I do, I did have a couple of questions that were emailed in that I said I was going to answer. So I'm going to answer the email questions first. The first one was, I may want to add travel insurance. What does it cost, and is it too late? It is not too late to add trip insurance. You have to purchase trip insurance within 21 days of making your initial deposit to receive waiver of pre-ex. But we're obviously past that for everybody. But if you purchase insurance now, it has what's called a 60-day look back. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but basically, if you have any questions, call me or drop me an email. But what that means is they're going to look in the 60 days prior to you purchasing insurance, is if you had any change in treatment or prescription medication for an existing condition. That's what they look for as far as covering a health condition that you currently have. And obviously, if it's an accident or anything like that, it's covered. The cost of the insurance is based upon the amount of coverage. So that's going to depend. It's going to vary depending on what stateroom category you're in, if you're going to cover your airfare or not. Some people have pre's and posts, and then on your age. There are age brackets. And so, actually, I'm sorry. They changed the insurance a few months ago. It's no longer age rated. So all we need is a price, and based upon the price, we can tell you what the insurance is. So drop us an email, give us a call. We can actually send you a quote. For those who don't know, I am licensed in all 50 states as an insurance agent. With the insurance you would get through us, if you have a claim, I will assist you in not only completing the claim forms, but actually in filing and getting that claim paid. I think it's a great little perk that we do to help people through. So if you don't have an insurance and you're interested in it, please let us know. We recommend it for everyone. I could, if we had time, I could go through examples of what we've had, even from the Paris and Normandy trip, where someone had tens of thousands of dollars that was covered by insurance, and completely unexpected event. And so it's something you should consider. Any questions, give me a call. What should we bring? Any kind of adapters? I already answered that question. And then there was a question about transfers, which I think I answered as well. My sister and I registered and didn't get an invite. What happened? Um, it's I do not know. When you said that you registered and you didn't get an invite, I'm assuming that you registered for this webinar, so I don't understand how you registered and didn't get an invite. You're anonymous in the Q&A, so it's going to be difficult for me to address this. If you want to send me an email, you can. As far as the information that the invitation, I guess, to this that I sent out to everyone, if we have your email address on file, which we should have, you would have received the invitation and it was sent to the email address that we send your invoice to. I know I reached out to some people, but in some cases, we have a couple of people traveling together who are not husband and wife, who are not partners, in which case we may only have the email address for one of you. At this juncture, I'm not sure it really matters, other than when we do the passenger manifest. If we, if let's say Mike and I are going, and Mike is the one who called up and signed up, and Mike gave his mailing address and his phone number and his email address, that's what's going to show up on the manifest. And unless I email my information will be not in the manifest. So if you want to be included on the manifest and you're not receiving the invoices for your booking, please just send me an email, john@moavac.com. I say I want to be on the manifest and include the information you want included. We already have your name, obviously. That would be mailing address, and that would be email address if you want that included. As far as your sister and you do registered to get an invite, I can't really address that without knowing what your name is. You can either put that in the chat or you can just drop me an email and I'll try to address that. Tips, gratuities are included. The gratuities are included for everyone on board the ship. When you're out on the buses, it's not required. Some people will tip the driver. If you'd like to do that, you can. Some people tip the tour guides that are on the buses. Once again, that's up to you. It's kind of decision based upon, whether or not you think they went above and beyond. But not required. All the tipping on board the ship is included. That would include your waiters, that would include your cabin steward, that would include all the bartenders and everything. So there is no tipping on board. And then on the excursions, that's personal preference. What is my phone number? My phone number is 816-679-3181. And what I'll do, RD, is when I send the email out to everyone tonight with this webinar on it, I'll include my phone number in that email as well. But I did put that email in the previous emails I sent out when we sent out the email to asking everybody to pre-register, and then the follow-up email where we wanted to make sure everybody got their name tags correct. Yeah, cell number. Somebody else asked for that. So I'll just say it again. 816-679-3181. How much is the extra bag charge? Tammy, I think the way I'll address that is the airlines have their luggage fees, and that's probably where you need to concern yourself. They kind of say, I think in the information for the transfers, they want everyone to have one large bag and then one carry-on. And the issue there is going to be the room on the transfer bus. If everyone brings 3 or 4 bags, they're not going to have room for it on the bus. That might sound crazy, but in 2022, we did a 10-day tour of Germany, and one person brought 5 bags. And so that's kind of what we want to prevent. Keep in mind when you're bringing your bags, you want to have room to bring home all of the purchases you're going to make at the Christmas markets. One of the things that was, I think, mentioned in the webinar when we do this is maybe bring one of those collapsible bags that you can bring in your suitcase on the way to the trip, and then you can use that as like a second carry-on when you're flying home. Keep in mind, most airlines now allow you to have two personal items. So that would be for the women, that's like a purse and a carry-on. The men can typically get by with like a backpack and a carry-on bag. If Tammy, if you're asking a specific question on what that is, I do not know. If it's not included in the cruise companion, if you want to reach out to your agent, or you can drop me an email and I will ask that question to Uniworld. But the bigger issue typically always is it's going to be what the airline charges for bags, not what Uniworld's going to do with those bags. Can you take a travel iron? Uh, I don't know. Most cruise lines now um, pretty much do not want any of those types of things in cabins. If it's small enough, uh, and it shouldn't be an issue. I would say that, for example, heating pads, curling irons, those types of things. Make sure you unplug them. If you don't unplug it, your cabin steward or stewardess is going to unplug it when they come in the stateroom. So don't be shocked if they're unplugging your electrical devices when you're not in the stateroom. And I would say that when you're not using it, put it away. They're not going to X-ray your bags, so if they don't see it, they don't know. But it's a fire hazard is the reason that they have concerns about that. So if you bring a little travel iron, you want to use it and then put it away, that should not be an issue. If you want me to ask Uniworld that question, I'm more than happy to ask them. I hadn't asked to be on the register. Is it too late? No, it's not too late to be on the register. I typically print those up about a week in advance, unless I've heard back from everybody. If, by the way, if you haven't answered on name tags or registration, I know the email said if you don't reply, we're going to print the names that are on the on your passenger ticket, and if you don't reply, we won't put you on the manifest. Just to make sure we don't miss anybody, I typically reach out to anyone who hasn't replied just to make sure. It's very difficult to change name tags on the ship. Nearly impossible to redo the passenger manifest. Do the locations where the local currency is not the euro accept euro in the Christmas markets? Uh, Richard, that's a difficult question to answer, and the reason would be is it's going to depend. People also ask about do they take credit cards? Some of the larger shops will take credit cards. I'm sure some of the larger shops will take euros. Even some of them even take U.S. currency, but I will tell you that you always get hurt on the exchange rate when they do that. So, for example, if you go someplace, even go to euros, for example. So you go to someplace, and let's say the exchange rate is 1 to 1.5, because that's going to be easier math. And somebody says something is 15, and you give them a 20, they're probably not going to exchange at that rate. They typically will, say, oh, well, I'm only going to give you 2 euros back or something like that. They do currency exchange at the registration desk. And you can also use your ATM card to pull out local currency from banks. In fact, your probably best bet to get the lowest exchange fees is not to go to an airport and do it at like the TravelX exchange or go to a travel exchange place in a city. It's to go to an ATM and withdraw cash from your account directly. But most of the larger markets will take credit cards. Probably that, when you get on board, that's a great question to ask the tour guide, because everywhere we'll go, she'll have been to a few times already. In fact, the itinerary we're on, they do as non-Christmas markets. So we're probably going to get a tour guide who's been to some of these cities, 10, 12, 15 times. So they are a great resource to ask that type of question. But once again, some will, some won't. And you'll find that up. The smaller kind of mom and pop shops are less likely to take non-local currency. Can you use credit cards the whole trip, or do we have to get their currency? Also, do they have euro there, or are their tackies primary mode of transportation? Okay. So when you get on board, they're going to take your credit card. So anything that you purchase on the ship is going to be on credit card. So once again, you have that 150 US per person onboard credit. So if you spend $160 on board or 160 euros on board, your card will be charged between the difference between the two. Okay. So they'll take your credit card when you check in case you go over whatever that onboard credit is in local currency. As far as when you are out and about shopping, most places take credit cards. You know, restaurants are going to take it. Most of the shops are going to take it. But you know, we've most of us have probably been to Europe before and know there are the shops, and then there are the little kind of like flea market places. And so there will be places that are not going to take credit cards. Um, and so, uh, you know, however you want to handle that, I mean, it's kind of up to your own discretion. It is possible that you get a little bit of currency because I don't know if you're going to get any major purchases at one of those little flea markets. Also, they're really good at if you're in a little shop and a lot of times they're like even little food shops or something like that. You want to get some mulled wine or something like that. A lot of times they can tell you there's an ATM just a block away or something like that. Once again, for kind of more specific questions on a port to port kind of thing, that's going to be that there's a tour guide on board. So you can either ask me that question and I'll ask the tour guide for you, or the tour guide will actually have a table in the lobby. I'm hoping that I will also have a desk or table in the lobby. And you can just ask them, and she's kind of the expert on all of that. Cruise Companion said to order Masterpiece collections ahead of time. Can we wait to? Yeah. My advice is to wait until you get on board to do the Masterpiece collection. If for no other reason, they tend to be less expensive once you're on board. If you look at what the current conversion rate is and what they charge US dollars, the other thing would be is you could get on board and decide you're going to change your mind. If you pre-book the Masterpiece collections and pay for them, they are non-refundable once you get on board the ship, because if you think about it, you're buying the Masterpiece collection from their office in LA, and when you get on the ship, they don't have access to those funds that they have in LA. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but basically, the point of it all is if you purchase them in advance, they're non-refundable. The other thing is if you purchase them in advance, you cannot use your onboard credit to purchase them. So my advice would be, if there's one that you want to do, when you get on board, I will meet you when you come on board. I will be in the lobby. I'll have a desk. It'll have a MOA banner on it. You obviously should know what I look like. I'll be wearing my MOA name tag, and just come over and say, hey, I want to make sure I get this Masterpiece collection. There's only 55-ish people in our group, so we're about a third of the ship. So we could basically, everybody in our group could sign up for a Masterpiece collection, and there's enough space. So just grab me. I will have those sign up sheets, and we can sign you up a day before everybody even gets the sign up sheet. So I don't think there's any issue of getting a Masterpiece collection. And there's three benefits for waiting on board: less expensive. If you sign up for a Masterpiece collection, they are refundable, but not within 24 hours. So if you sign up for something and you decide not to go, let's say you go to dinner, you meet some other couples, and you say, they're all doing this trip, and I want to change Masterpiece collections, or I decided I'm not going to go. As long as you cancel outside of 24 hours, it is refundable. Um, can you repeat the kind of adapter you get? It's the standard European adapter. If I had one, I could show it up. I could ask, and I'm sure it has a name. It's the three-prong one, the round and the three prongs. It's just the standard European adapter. Uh, And is the internet pretty fast? Uh, I've never really had, you know, I'll back it up. If it is a time when everyone is on the ship and everyone is on the internet, it's obviously going to go a little bit slower, particularly if you're looking to do streaming, watching videos or those types of things. If you're just doing Gmail or something like that, you won't have any issues at all. If you're emailing or trying to download large files, maybe a little bit slower. But I've not had any issues when I bought on Uniworld with the Wi-Fi. So I don't know how to answer pretty fast, but if everybody on the ship decided that they wanted to watch, an NFL football game on a Sunday, and so you had 100 people trying to stream it at the same time, it would probably slow down. But otherwise, I can't imagine you have any issues. The language on the ship is English. I'm sure some of the crew are going to have speak other languages, but yeah, everyone will speak English. All of the announcements, there are very few of them, will be in English, and all of the presentations are in English. So when the captain does the muster drill, when the tour director and the cruise director speaks, it will always be in English. The tour guides, and they make a point of the fact that on the excursions, they do have English speaking guides. So even on the excursions when you're off the ship, the guide will be speaking in English. They do have those earpieces. If you're not familiar with them, they have the little Vox boxes. And then, on the days where they have more than one excursion, they'll say everybody on bus 1, tune it to channel 3. Everybody on bus 2, tune it to channel 4. And if you're on bus 6, tune it to channel 6. And then you hear your tour guide. It's a great system. They'll actually be in your stateroom. They'll have chargers in the stateroom, so you wear them during the day. That evening, you come back and you just drop them in the chargers. They have little headpieces. They have extra headpieces. It seems like every day you're on a bus, somebody's going to forget their earpieces. They do have additional earpieces, but try to remember yours if you could. What alcohol is included but not part of the onboard credit? Um, all of the alcohol is included, except what they call ultra premium liquor. And they have a menu for that. So when you go to the bar and you see all the bars, pretty much everything you see is going to be included. Um, and they have wine at dinner, they have wine in the bar, they have the coffees and all that other kind of stuff. All that's included. They do have they have a premium bottled wine list, and they have an ultra premium alcohol list, which will list those and what the price for is those. I will say that the price they charge for those is a reduced price. I'm trying to remember one of which would be Juan Julio 1942 is an ultra premium tequila. If you went to a bar in your own city, it's probably going to be $60 to $80, depending on where you live. For a shot of that, it's probably going to be like 30, 35 on the ship. So if everyone who looks at those prices say, oh, that's a really good price for that. But as I said, we did Paris and Normandy, 2 cruises. So June 2nd to the 9th, June 9th to the 16th. And I don't know if anyone ever got bottled wine or ultra premium liquor. There is so many options available for you. The other thing I'm going to say about wine is they don't charge a corkage fee. So if you get off the ship and you find a bottle that you want, you can buy it in a local shop. So it's only going to be, obviously if you're buying it at a shop when you're in a local European town, it's not going to be expensive. You can bring that back on board. No corkage fees. You can have that at dinner. It's a great way to make friends is bring wine onto the ship and share it with your table mates. But Karen, I hope that answers your question. I'm not trying to be evasive, but I'm going to tell you that I was on back-to-back cruises and both of those were full ship MOA groups. So, 120 people each, and they all were perfectly happy with the liquor selection. They have a lot of liquor. They're going to have your Grey Gooses, they're going to have your Kettle Ones, you're going to have those. Those are not considered ultra premium. Most people would call those premium vodkas, but not ultra premium where they're going to charge an additional price for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Is there an opportunity to upgrade berthing at the time of check-in? Kurt, the way Uniworld is doing that now is you should have received an email from them which offers you the opportunity to upgrade. It's on a bidding process. And so the way that works is right now the ship is completely sold out. So let's say I'm in a balcony stateroom and I would be interested in upgrading to a suite. You should have received an email. If you haven't, let me know and I'll find out why you hadn't received that. But the way that works is you bid. And I say that if a suite becomes available, and the only way a suite is going to be available is if someone cancels, and they'll either cancel, now it would probably be a medical issue, an accident or an illness, or their flight cancels and they no show or something like that. So people bid. And I bid 600 and Kurt, you bid 650. So when I get on board, they'll automatically charge your credit card. That's 650. And when you check in, they'll tell you you were upgraded to a suite. If you get on board and you want to check, grab me. We can ask at the front desk. But they've, like most cruise lines, if you've been on cruise lines, it's kind of the new thing to do this bidding thing kind of deal. So is it possible? Yes. But if you're in a French balcony or deluxe French balcony and you want a suite and someone bidded or placed a bid, they'll have already been put in that stateroom if somebody's canceled. So when you get there, it'll already been taken care of, if that makes sense. So I do know I talked to somebody who was in a suite who got an email and it allowed them to bid to upgrade to a grand suite. I think there's 2 grand suites on this ship. So basically you can put in a bid. You can say, I'll upgrade if I can do it for $500, but you're only going to be upgraded if one of the 2 grand suites cancels in the next 18 days or whatever it is. What kind of exercise is in the fitness center? It is very small. What we had on the Joy de Vie was, I think they had 1 exercise bike and 1 treadmill. And then they had a few small weights. They do have walking sticks and they have bikes. Probably going to be too cold to do either one of those, but those are available as well. Do the Christmas markets take credit cards? Do we need cash? I thought I already answered this, so maybe this came in after I'd answered it. The larger shops will take credit cards. Small mom and pop shops or little flea markets and those types of things, it's kind of hit and miss. I will tell you, more and more people have those little squares, kind of thing where they do charges because, they want the business. But it's impossible. I would say most of them take credit cards, but I would be remiss if I said all of them will. But when you go to a huge Christmas market, I would assume that almost all of them took it. And if you've not seen pictures of these Christmas markets, it's booth after booth after booth, a lot of whom have similar, if not identical products. And so if you go to a booth and you find an ornament you really like and you don't have local currency and they don't take credit cards, you really have 2 options. You can ask them where an ATM is and you can walk to the ATM, or you can look at the next booth down or 2 down or 3 down and see if you can find that same ornament at a place that takes credit cards. What is the MTM experience? Well, I do not know the answer to that question. I'm looking at the itinerary. I don't see that on the itinerary. Oh, MTM experience. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Make travel matter is what MTM stands for. And it is they'll explain it better on the ship, but it's sort of your opportunity to, I guess, give back, for lack of a better word, um, to kind of be more culturally sustainable, if that makes sense. Why don't I do this? I'm sure on the Uniworld website they have a description of exactly what that is. I'm going to make a note, and when I send out the email, I will send you the description that Uniworld has of what those MTM experiences are. Those make travel matter experiences. Okay. The one country that does not use euros, do they take euros? I don't know which country you're referring to. And once again, um, these types of questions on currency are difficult to answer because some shops will take euros, but not all of them. I mean, once again, I mean, if I have a store and I want to maximize my sales, I'm going to take credit cards. I'm going to take euros. I'm probably going to take US currency because the whole reason I'm in business is to make money. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to go to some mom and pop that isn't going to be able to take it. And to me, the bigger issue isn't even them not taking it. What you'll find if you've ever been to some of these flea markets is they don't have change. So I'm a shop owner. Our currency isn't euros. You come in and you want to buy something, and the price is listed in my local currency, and you say, "How much is this?" And I say it's 15 euros, and all you have is a 20 euro bill. They will either tell you they can't make change, or they're going to give you change in the local currency, and now you have local currency. Um, and I know the reason these questions keep coming up because holiday markets, we're going to do a lot of shopping. Most of the holiday markets we are going to go to are going to be giant tent like or street like places where there are 20, 30, 40 holiday markets all together. Um, and so, most of them will take it. Change, I think, would be a concern if you're using US dollars or euros. Is when you go to Europe and you use a non-local currency, for example, even if you go to France or England, or not France, England doesn't work. If you go to France and you purchase something and you only have US dollars, they're going to either give you change in euros or tell you they don't have change. And so that's the thing that you need to keep in mind when you're shopping. But as I said, I mean, there's going to be so many places that you go to. And it's a great question to ask the tour guide once you're on board. Will excursions work around meals or do we? Okay. Um, Typically, if you look at the excursions, they'll either be morning or afternoon excursions. Some are in the evening. For the most part, they work around it. So you get up in the morning, you have breakfast, you go do an afternoon excursion, you come back, you have lunch, and then you do a morning excursion, you come back, you have lunch, and then you go out in the afternoon. If it's a longer excursion, for example, you leave after breakfast and you're going to be gone over lunch, if I remember correctly, the excursions that do that specifically say no lunch. And that would mean that you're going to see, for example, we look at Salzburg. It's a full day Salzburg tour. And so you're not going to come back to the ship at lunch. So it says lunch is included. So that's going to be when you're on your loan to go to lunch. The tour guide can obviously point you in directions. But that's your opportunity as you're walking around on your own and exploring on your own to find a little cafe, look at the menu, and decide it. I think Salzburg's the only one where it's a full day, so you're going to be on your own for lunch. So I hope that answers that question. Yes. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so not only I mentioned day one, excuse me, the first evening you get on board and it's kind of like just general information, the muster drill and that kind of stuff. Then everybody goes to dinner and we have our welcome reception. The next day, literally it's the excursions are just you show up for whatever you want to do. Let me look. I think there's only one that day if I remember correctly. Yeah. So day two is a pass out walking tour. And then you just they put you in groups and you do a walking tour, and then you come back and you have lunch on board the ship. And then I think your afternoon is free, if I remember correctly. That evening, the tour guide will go over kind of all the tours briefly and hand out that sheet where you sign up. And then every evening, the tour director will talk before dinner. So the kind of two things you're going to have is you're in the lounge before dinner. The tour director will get up and kind of say, here's tomorrow's plans, to kind of recap. If you're on this excursion, we're meeting at 7:15 and we're meeting in the lobby, or we're meeting off the ship, or whatever that will be. And then if you're on this one, here's what time you meet, and go through that. And then every evening, and then after she talks, the sommelier comes out and talks about the wines you're having that evening for dinner. And so then the next evening, once again, the tour director will say, tomorrow we're doing this, and she'll give an overview of the tour you're going to do the next day every day. Thank you for reminding me of that, Steve. Walter, as far as allergies and those types of things, I would make two suggestions. First off, I would send that to me, and I will send that to the ship so they have that in advance. And then the other thing would be is we want to tell the ship when you get on board. The thing with allergies is I think you're better served making sure people know. So I know it sounds redundant, but email me. I'll tell the ship. But I don't tell the ship actually. I go to LA, and then LA is supposed to tell the ship, and then we'll tell the ship when you get on board. And I would also recommend when you're ordering dinner, you may have the waiter the same night, but the first night you have a waiter, I would make sure the waiter knows. We certainly don't want a miscommunication from getting the information from LA to the ship, or from the ship to your waiter, and have somebody have an outbreak. So let's make sure we tell them multiple times. I do think I missed a question somebody had about taxis or Ubers. Most places have Ubers. I'm not sure a small place like Passau is going to have Ubers. I don't know a way to look that up in advance other than opening up your Uber app and like trying to schedule a future trip and put that town in. I have both Uber and Lyft on my phone. I will tell you, Lyft is not very well represented, at least to the countries I've been to. Uber is fairly well represented. Most of the places I've been, but I have not been this far east in years, not since I started using Uber. So, but cabs are pretty simple to use there. And might actually be more convenient. One of the issues I typically have with Uber is when you don't speak the language, particularly like, let's just say Paris. When I was there, they will tell you where the pickup location is. And if you don't read French, it's trying to figure out where exactly that pickup location is. A lot of bigger cities, as you may or may not know, they have restrictions on where Ubers can pick people up. Much more common in the United States it is in Europe. But for example, my daughter lives in Chicago, and when we Uber in downtown Chicago, typically you just plan on having to walk a block or two because Ubers just can't stop anywhere in the city. So a lot of times cabs are easier because if you see a cab, you can get in it. But then again, a lot of you are probably better speak the languages that I don't speak. So anyway, we've gone a little bit long. Oh, okay, we got more coming in. Do not count on US Uber app to work in foreign countries. Mary, that's a good point. I will tell you, I've used it in Europe before, but as I said, it is not always the easiest thing to do as compared to just grabbing a cab. Particularly like if you're going to get an Uber from the ships a lot of times are in, I don't want to say unusual locations, but not locations that, it's not like a cafe that's on a major street corner. It's kind of off the beaten path, so to speak. So my experience with Ubers on getting to and for example, I'm overnighting in Passau so I can get on the ship before everybody else. And I will probably take a cab from Passau to the ship because if I Uber, the Uber a lot of times it won't even recognize the location of the address we have for the ship because there's nothing there. It's the Uber is basically just dropping you off on the side of the river where the ship pulls up and you get on. But cabs are really easy to use there. Is the food buffet or order off a menu? Breakfast and lunch are going to be a buffet. Dinner is off a menu. They do typically have somebody like doing like eggs, like an omelet station at breakfast. They do have like some type of carving station or some kind of serving station at lunch. So it's a nice buffet, but yeah, just because at those meals, it's kind of you come and go as you will, as compared to dinner, which is normally most people show up right when dinner begins. Okay, so great questions. Hopefully, I answered your questions. If you think of something, just drop me an email. Once again, I will be on the ship. I'm hoping they allow me to use one of the desks in the lobby for the entirety of the ship, in which case I will be there for pretty much the entirety of the cruise. In the morning, when you go to breakfast, I'll be at the desk. When you go to lunch, I'll be at the desk. Obviously, at some point, I'll hop up once everybody's in the dining room and grab something to eat. And then before dinner, I'll be there. Anyway, it's going to be a fantastic time. Really excited to go with you. I love doing these MOA groups. They're a lot of fun. And I'm there once again to make sure everybody has as much fun as possible. So I'm going to download this, edit it, upload it, and you'll get an email. I'm going to send out a description of what MTM is. I'm going to include my cell number. If anybody thinks of anything else they think I should include, feel free to go ahead and drop me an email and I'll include it that I send out to everybody else. But I think we covered a lot of ground. And once again, remember, it's vacation. We're going to have fun. Anything comes up on board the ship, I'm there. We'll get it taken care of on board. I will see everyone in Pass Out. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.